All right, good afternoon, guys. Here's your toolbox, your title, and your essential question for tonight's video. Sorry about my little mistake here with happening. But in your toolbox, I want you to put percent, proportion, and then y equals kx. And then I also want you to go ahead and add the other one, the y over x equals k. Okay? So put both of those up there in the toolbox. And then your title is percent. And then your essential question is, when using the 10% rule, explain what is happening when you move the decimal. Alright, so if you need to pause and copy, you can. Make sure you add this page to your table of contents, please. Okay, first thing we're going to talk about is finding the percent of a number. Okay, so normally you would find the percent of a number by multiplying the number by the percent as a decimal. This definitely says decimal. The highlighter smeared it. Okay? So normally you would find the percent of a number by multiplying the number by the percent as a decimal. So remember Dr. Pepper. So how to convert a percent to a decimal. So let's look at an example. If you need to pause to copy this down, go ahead and do so now. Okay, we're going to find what is 20% of 80, okay? So, first I'm going to take 20%, and I'm going to use Dr. Pepper. Okay, so since it's a percent, I want to move the decimal 2 times to the left to make it a decimal, okay? So the decimal of 20% is 20 hundredths, okay? So now to find 20% of 80, I'm going to do 80 times 20 hundredths, okay? So 0 times 0 is 0, 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 8 is 8. I'm going to bring it down. Oh, sorry, that's not a 1. It's definitely a 2. So 1 times 1. All right, let's start this one over. I have a row of zeros, okay? Then 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 8 is 16, okay? So I have 0, 0, 6, 1. Now I count the number of numbers behind the decimal. There's 0 here. There's 1 or 2 here. So I'm going to move it over twice. So if I have 1600 and I move it over twice, the answer is 16. So that means 20% of 80 is 16. Okay? All right, you can also find the percent of a number using the proportion. So like what we did today. But your table would look like this. The part over the whole, and then the percent over 100. So this one we don't necessarily need a word ratio. But if you can write one, we will. Okay? And we're going to solve using y equals kx like we did today in class. Okay? All right. Here's our example. If you need to pause to copy any of this down, go ahead. But I'm going to work on this problem here. So at AMC Movie Theater, there are 250 seats. 225 seats were sold for Annabelle. What percent of the seats are empty? Okay? If you need to pause to copy that down, go ahead. At AMC Movie Theater, there were 250 seats. 225 seats were sold for Annabelle. What percent of seats are empty? All right, so for our Gator strategies, I'm going to go ahead and circle the given numbers. Okay? I'm going to underline the question, and I'm going to box in my ratio words. Okay, so I'm looking for the seats that are empty, and I know I'm looking for a percent. Okay, if 225 seats were sold, and I want to know how many were empty, I'm going to take the total and subtract the number of seats that were sold. Okay, when I subtract 250 minus 225, that means there were 25 seats empty. Okay, so now I'm going to write my proportion. We're doing empty seats over the total. With percent, it's always over a total. Okay, so I know there were 25 seats that were empty out of 250. Okay, I want to know the percent out of 100. It's always out of 100. So remember, this is always y over x, and my k is just y over x. So my k in this problem is 25 over 250. So I'm going to use my equation. Y equals kx. I'm looking for my y. So I'm going to put y equals, my k is 25 over 250. And my x is 100. Okay, so you can multiply the fractions, or you can divide and then multiply 100. I'm going to multiply the fractions. Okay, so I know multiplying fractions, that's no problem. Top times top and bottom times bottom. So 25 times 100 is 2,500. What's 250 times 1? 250. Remember I showed you the trick today where you can cancel a 0? And then now I'm going to divide 250 by 25. 25 goes into 2, 0, into 25 once. Bring down the 0. How many times does 25 go into 0? 0. So that means there were 10% of seats that were empty. All right. If you have any questions, you can ask me tomorrow in class, or you can come see me during go time. See you tomorrow.